Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes are sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. There's a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes sweet and sassy. Not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year! And welcome to the first live stream of 2026. Today is Friday, January 2nd, 2026. And it's a new year. It's a new year. How's everyone doing? Hope you all had a wonderful celebration and a wonderful new year. And I hope you ate 12 grapes at midnight. Because I did, because I started looking up all the things you're supposed to do on New Year's Eve. And I never knew that before. Did you know that? It's a Spanish tradition that you're supposed to, I think it's from Spain. It originated in Spain, that you should eat 12 grapes at midnight and then make a wish every time you eat a grape. And then everything good will happen to you in 2026. So I did that. That was pretty cool. I also made sure not to do any laundry on New Year's Day. They say, don't do your laundry on New Year's Day. Do not take out the trash on New Year's Day. Because whatever you spend doing on New Year's Day is the way that your day is going, your year is going to go. So they say no tears on New Year's Day either. So hopefully none of you cried on New Year's Day, because that's not a good thing either. Because I fell into the call me Alice. I fell into the rabbit hole of things that you're supposed to do for the new year. And so, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When he's like, sure, now you tell us. I know. Listen, I just found out myself New Year's Eve. It was a last minute add-on. The internet is going crazy. The world is going crazy. Everyone is insane, and not us. We're not insane. We're not feeding into the insanity. Stop the insanity. We don't want any of it here. And so I've been getting screenshots all day about things and that I'm not going to address because I think everyone's nuts. Let's look at our affirmation for a badass today. We've been doing this every day for a while, and we shuffle the deck. And we pull out our affirmation for a badass because all of you are badasses. So here's what we're going to channel for today's stream before we get into our new trial that's starting on Monday. Here it is. And here's what it says. If your kids are in the room, put earmuffs on them just for 1 second, because sometimes you got to say the S word. It says, there's a shit ton of happiness ahead of me. There it is, your badass affirmation of the day. And there is a shit ton of happiness ahead of you too. So do not fear. Happiness is here. Welcome, 2026. Oh, the first supermoon is tomorrow. That's okay. That's all right. We're going to make it through. And anything else you guys want to talk about it before we dive into part 2 of trial prep for the Sarah Grace Patrick trial that is starting in Georgia on Monday? I do believe, though, that it is jury selection that will start on Monday. I do not believe that will be televised. But you never know. So we got to be ready. We got to be ready for anything. We don't know. It could take them 10 minutes to pick a jury. Who knows? We got to be ready. And we're going back to, we're going to Carroll County, Georgia for Monday's trial. I'll give you a little brief synopsis for those of you who are not familiar. But before I do that, let me just say a big thank you to Mama She, who sent me a Cash App. When was our last stream? I think on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? After the show. So thank you so much, Mama She. I love you and Happy New Year to you. And Gigi also sent me a Cash App after the stream was over. So thank you, Gigi. You're amazing. Cash App doesn't let you send a note back. It just lets you send like a heart back. So that it lets you know that I got it. But I wanted to thank you ever so much for all of your kind support and generosity throughout all of the years that you've been here. And let's see, because it looks like Gigi is here and she just gifted, I think, 10 memberships. Hang on. She's here and she gifted 10 memberships. And YouTube picks the winners. I don't. So welcome and congratulations to the 10 new members. Gigi's amazing. She's awesome. And she's a very generous benefactor and kind contributor to the channel because we only let the nice people hang around here. Thank you, Gigi. I love you. And Mara says that my hair looks gorgeous. Oh, thank you. I feel like it's like a little bit blah today. So thank you very much for the compliment. I'll allow it. Thanks for being here for 3 months. And look at True Crime Justice has been here for 14 months. Says I've been in Cupcake since January of 2024. Yes. Thank you very much. It says 14 months, but you know, those things are never accurate. And Pebbles Love says Happy New Year to all. Has been here for 17 months. So we have a lot of long-term. We have a lot of long-term relationships here. A lot of people hang around here. They like it. They stick around because they know what's up. They know what's up. We don't tolerate the drama, the BS, the trash talk, and all of that stuff. So this is not a repeat. This is not a repeat. This is not a premiere. This is live. This is live. I don't like doing premieres. Indy Cindy, thank you for being here for 8 months. Says Happy New Year to all. I don't do premieres because, first of all, honestly, I'm just too lazy to pre-tape. It would take me so much longer to pre-tape a show than it would to come on live and do it with you because I would be endlessly editing, trying to make it perfect, and then thinking about it and then editing it some more. And I just come on live. It's unfiltered and it's raw and it's spontaneous. And this is what we do because I just don't have the time to edit. Do you? I don't know. I mean, some of the creators that tape stuff ahead of time and God bless them. God bless them. Because I don't have patience for it. Ann Bozzarelli is here. She's been here for 26 months and she says, Happy New Year. Best place to be always. Oh, thank you, Annie. Thanks, Annie. And I can't read these names because they changed them back. You know, you can go to your YouTube channel. Even if you think you don't have a channel, you have a page and you can change your username back to whatever you want it to be. So SSA Ilahi. That's the best I could do. Says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, sweetheart. And thanks for being here for 23 months. And of course, Virginia has been subscribed longer than 21 months. And thank you. Thank you very much for that, Virginia. It's on your mind, folks. Oh, the necklace is actually on my Amazon list, which is in the show notes below the video. Thank you very much. At one time, I think it was on sale. So you can get it. I think it's like $12 or something. I love it because I love a good dupe. And I feel like this is a really good dupe. So thank you. It's in the show notes below, the Amazon thing. And Cindy B is here. Happy New Year to you. 25 months she's been here. She loves it too. Thank you, Cindy. Coffee Drink has been here for 2. Happy New Year. Mel, chat, and mods. Yeah, it might be a rough one today. I don't know. From the stuff that people have been sending me, there's a lot of animosity out in the world of the tubes of you and a lot of the creators, I think, that people in the YouTube in this particular chat follow. So I don't know what's up, but I don't care either. Hi, Kelly Reed. Happy New Year. I love you so much. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks for being here. We love Kelly Reed. We love Kelly Reed. That is one of the good things to come out of the Karen Reed trial, other than the acquittal for Karen Reed, is my friendship with Kelly Reed, who's one of the most amazing humans on the planet. So thanks for being with me for 8 months, even though it feels like we've been together for 25 years. And he does. Says Happy New Year, everybody, and has been here for 9 months. And everybody wants their milestone chats in here, like Coffee Drinker. It's been here for 2 months. Thanks for being here. And I love you. And Happy New Year. And I love that you're alive, says Wendy. And she's been here for 4. You guys are awesome. They're awesome. Well, thanks, Ronnie. I never turned my back on Karen, ever. Never turned my back on Karen, ever. And I don't really think that he's particularly talking about me. But I never turned my back on Karen. Karen is free. She's been acquitted. And if by me covering other cases for other defendants that might need freeing or that need some justice or that need to actually see justice in their cases, if my covering other cases translates into turning my back on Karen Reed, I think that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And it's completely not true. And you know that I want Massachusetts to write Karen Reed a check that they probably won't be able to cash. That's how big a check I think that she's entitled to receive. And I don't fall into the drama and the bullshit. So I've never turned my back on her. I support Karen Reed 100%. I always will. I am the one who came out here screaming starting in January of 2024 about Karen Reed did not hit John O'Keefe with the car because John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. I took shit for it on court TV. I've been attacked by the trolls who are now the House defendants and their minions. I was attacked by Jennifer Coffendorfer, and to this day I continue to be. And still, John O'Keefe was not hit by a car, and a car did not hit John O'Keefe. So I don't know what that other thing is about me turning my back on her. Never did, never would. It ain't me. It's like Shaggy. It isn't me. It isn't me. That's not the most disturbing thing I heard today, though. So just put a pin in that one. Alling Dog became a new member, so welcome. Magnolia Gypsy's 22 months and says she's found her people here in the Snark Tank. In the Snark Tank, we rise above the drama because we're just too old for it. Mike Crawford was being mean to me for my support of Aiden. I don't know. I did because so many people sent it to me. I started watching it a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he was mean to me somewhere else. And again, this is not what I'm here to talk about tonight, but what I'm going to say is the same thing I said on my Instagram video and on a short that I published the other day. Two things can be true. You can believe that a car did not hit John O'Keefe and John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. You can believe that Karen Reed was not responsible for John O'Keefe's murder. You can believe that someone else probably is responsible for John O'Keefe's murder. You can believe that Karen Reed should 100% succeed in her civil suit. And you can believe that there, in the end, hopefully will be justice for John O'Keefe because the real people or persons that are responsible for his murder, hopefully will be prosecuted. But based on the sham of an investigation, that might likely never happen. And you are also allowed to believe that Aidan Carney has First Amendment rights and should not be prosecuted with however many felonies he has remaining by the state of Massachusetts because that witness intimidation statute is unduly broad. And it was meant for victims of DV, right? It was meant for victims of DV, number one. And number two, true witness intimidation is when you wake up and find a horse's head in your bed, okay? Or you open up a package and there's a human head in there or something such as like that. That's witness intimidation. So you don't have to like everything that Aidan Carney does or says or the C word, which I absolutely hate. But I believe in the First Amendment and I believe he's being wrongfully persecuted. So I'm entitled to my opinion. So are you. It's enough with the bullshit. It's enough. And I just really want to say it, but I'm not saying it. And I don't think that Mike said that. Again. Happy New Year to all the cupcakes from the UK. Thank you, Shuda. And the Goodmans are here and they gifted a membership. Thank you, Goodmans. Thank you. Melissa is here, says I'm having trial withdrawals. Thanks for coming on today. I got off social months ago because of the drama. I don't miss it at all. I don't miss it at all, she says. Thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you, Melissa. It's not worth it. Just get off. Get off. Just don't open it. Don't open it. Thanks for being here for 9 months, Melissa. And Gigi says, don't ever let anyone get you. You're the best. I stop it when I see it. So do a lot of your cupcakes. I'm not even on it, so I don't see it. I don't see it. Aiden needs to stop illegally recording people. Thank you, Leanne, for your thoughts and for your comments. And I don't know who's illegally recording who. I had no knowledge of that recording, didn't know anything about it. I said, in fact, one time, I don't know, maybe it's AI. Who the hell knows where it came from? The problem is that somebody published it. Okay, somebody published it who got it illegally. And I really don't even know much more than that. That might not even be true. I really don't care. This is how much I care. I do not give a shit about any of that. I am focused on my cases that I am covering. And like Leanne, exactly. Like, do you know what happened? Were you there? I wasn't. So who am I to come on here and give an opinion about it? I don't even know if what Karen people are saying is what that Karen said is really what Karen said. And I don't care. I don't care. What I did see today was Nan Gallagher trashing me in Mike Crawford's chat. That's what I did see today. That's what I saw today. And if you were there, you saw it too. And have I ever said a word about that woman? Ever? Have I ever mentioned her name on my channel? I don't really think I ever have, unless it was something that she was tweeting about me or just saying about me. So yeah, that's a problem for me. Apparently she's coming for me. She's coming for me when it's time. I don't know what it means. I don't even know. It was her though. It was her though, because she threw out a $200 super chat. Yes. So, just be aware of that. Just, keep it in the back of your head. Yeah. Gigi, thank you, Gigi. I appreciate that. But I got about 100 screenshots of that today. 100 screenshots. Right. I did talk about that, about her giving that voicemail of the woman who is going after Aiden in New Jersey. She called Nan for legal advice, and then Nan gave that voicemail to Aiden and told him to publish it on Twitter. I did say that was an unethical thing for an attorney to do. Absolutely. That's the one day I did. Right. You're right. Thank you, Irish Wolfhound Mama, for being here. And I hope this is your best year as well, and for being here for 12 months. And it's me, Sharon. Thanks for your super sticker. And Cupcakes for Justice says, as a newly retired person, I refuse drama. And then Cupcakes for Justice gifted membership. Thank you so much. And Kat Randall, I love you so much. Gifted one membership as well. And also, so congratulations to all of the new members. Love ya. Love you so much. And Ellen says, I follow no drama channels, probably for others. And Melanie, the others are just white noise. Don't be distracted by the rage baiters and the agents of chaos, because they just want to distract you. And I'm here to distract you from all of that today, because we're gonna get into the Sarah Grace Patrick case. That's what we're here to talk about. And Kay Willis is here. She's a realtor south of Boston. She gifted 5 memberships, and she's amazing. So I don't know. Hey, Kay Willis, I'm wondering if you sold Stefan Diggs his new house that he apparently bought in Easton. That broke the other day. We covered that. They bought a house, I think, in Easton, but the house that they were renting, where this incident allegedly happened with the personal chef, was in Dedham. I have the Zillow listing. And Gail Taylor says, you're above this saga. I saw Nan. I called her out. Well, I don't know. She says she's going to expose me, apparently, or something. I can't even remember what the screenshot said. But there was a number of comments that were sent to me, and whatever. All right, let's talk about Sarah Grace Patrick, shall we? Because that trial is starting on Monday, and that's what we are here to talk about. We can't get, distracted by all of the noise and the rage baiters out there. Sarah Grace Patrick is a 16-year-old girl from Carrollton, Georgia, which is Western Georgia, approximately 10 miles from the Alabama border. In February of 2025, Sarah Grace Patrick and her half-sister, who I think at the time was 5 or 6, woke up on February 20th of 2025, and the little girl went into her parents' bedroom and found them both gunned down to death in their beds. Sarah Grace was 16 at the time. She called 911, and an investigation ensued. Nothing was happening. They weren't finding the killers in this case. And so Sarah Grace Patrick did what many other 16-year-olds would do. She went to TikTok. And she posted some things, and she gave a eulogy at her mom's funeral. It was her mom, Kristin Brock, age 41, and her stepdad, James Brock, age 45. Part 1 of this stream is linked in the show notes below. She did a eulogy at her mom's funeral. It was unscripted, according to her biological dad. I thought it was very heartfelt. And she went to TikTok, and she cried on TikTok, as kids do. And she tried to get some TikTokers to cover the case of the murders of her mother and stepfather. She reached out by, TikTok messaging, I guess that's a thing, and asked them to please look into the case and to help her find who killed her parents, and said, listen, you'll get a lot of views from this. It'll maybe go viral. I'm not sure exactly what the messages said. We went over them, I think, the other day. And Because of this, because Sarah Grace Patrick went to some TikTokers to ask them to cover her parents' story, her mom and her stepdad's murder story, many people felt that she must be guilty. Many people were also crucifying her in the media, saying that her eulogy was fake. They were fake tears, that the TikToks that she was posting after her mom and stepdad were murdered were sus because she must be guilty. And I have so many questions. Number one, because the media has already convicted her. She is now 17. She is, well, to finish my story, February 20th, they are found dead. Sarah Grace is not arrested until July, more than 5 months later. Media says her father turned her in. That's not accurate. We went over that. Warrants were issued for her arrest, and therefore her father brought her in to surrender her. Yes, that's true. He did not turn her in. He brought her to the station. And then a true bill came down in August. And Sarah Grace Patrick is charged with 8 counts. 2 counts of malice murder, 2 counts of felony murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and 2 counts of possession of a firearm during a felony. The true bill came down from the grand jury on August 19th of 1995 in my notes. No, August 19th of 2025. There was a bond hearing. We watched that the other day. The bond was denied for Sarah Grace, and the bond order is very vague, as was the bond hearing. It was unlike any bond hearing we've ever watched together, because all of the testimony elicited at the bond hearing from the state were family members of the decedents, talking about how they were so upset that their father had been murdered and how they were afraid of Sarah Grace, but there was no meat, right? There was no substance to it. And we watched it. And we're all very confused because we have no idea what the evidence is, because the evidence has been so tightly held that we have no idea what the evidence is. But we do know that the spokesperson for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, their PR person, did a presser, and she also did an interview on Law and Crime. And she says that there's a mountain of evidence. There's a mountain of evidence. We don't have not even one piece of evidence, not a shred. We haven't heard about a shred. Here's the bond order. The order for bond was the bond was denied back in August 19th. And here's the order. Bond denied after and this is state of Georgia versus Sarah Grace Patrick. After hearing evidence presented regarding defendant's motion for bond, this court finds the defendant is a risk to flee the jurisdiction and not appear for future court appearances. Defendant is a risk to influence witnesses, and defendant is a threat to the community and family members as testified at defendant's hearing regarding bond. Well, we were there. We watched the entire hearing. I didn't hear one example. There wasn't one example of what she's done to threaten witnesses or how the community should fear that they're in danger of her being out on bond, or how she's going to flee. They said she was in Alabama when they issued the warrants for her. She was in Alabama with her dad, and where she lived in Carrollton when her parents were murdered is 10 miles from the Alabama border. Do you see how they're making this to be so much bigger than it is? She was 16 at the time of the murders. She's 17 now. She's being tried as an adult. Apparently the death penalty is off the table, so at least there's that. But she is facing life without parole. She doesn't even have a driver's license. That's right. That's right, Rachel. Thank you. She doesn't have a license. The bond hearing was like a victim impact statement. It was like a sentencing. It was, I've never seen anything like it. There was no hard and fast evidence about why she was a danger, how she would flee, or how she was threatening people. And I just thought it was so odd. And I think that the way that the media has presented this case, or the mainstream media anyway, right, what about home confinement? Why couldn't she be on an ankle monitor with drug testing and other things? It's just no weapon has been found. It's so sus to me. And my heart breaks for this girl. I don't know if she murdered her parents or not, but we watched her father say on one of the channels that she doesn't even know how, her grandfather actually said that she doesn't even know how to shoot a gun. The only gun she's ever shot was a rifle, maybe once, a hunting rifle, and that she's 100 pounds. And if she was to shoot whatever gun it is that they said they was involved in the murders, because they haven't said, she might have been like kicked back across the room or something. And so we're all sitting here shaking our heads, except for the people that have already convicted her. I even watched an episode, because you guys suggested it to me, thank you so very much, of Rotten Mango. Rotten Mango did this about 4 or 5 months ago. And she was like, also like, okay, where's the mountain of evidence? What evidence is it? Right. KBD, it feels like so many people have already found her guilty because they said so. This will be an interesting trial. Yes, that's why we're going to cover it. Also, if you were guilty of murdering your parents, would you go to TikTok and ask them to try and help you find the killer? I don't know. To me, that flies and it strains credulity. But this is where teenagers express their feelings on TikTok, Snapchat, like it or not. And what I found out, because I watched this interview with her dad, and I did a deeper dive into this, is that apparently Kristin Brock and James Brock were threatened by a family friend around Valentine's Day with a gun in front of a witness in their house. Okay. They were murdered on either the 20th or the late hours of the 19th. And they were threatened by a family friend with a gun in front of a witness 6 days prior. Was anybody else investigated for this murder? Yes, Written Dreams says, I'm about to leave some trace DNA on the like button. Please don't tell Nan or anyone in PD. Nobody will get your DNA. Please smash it on the like button because, it's the polite thing to do when you come into somebody's house. It's like, it's like you wipe your feet on the mat. Here's something else that I found because I'm so interested in where is the evidence. Turns out that the prosecution has turned over a lot of evidence. And every time they turn over evidence, they file what's called a certificate of service in the court file. And so they have turned over a lot, voluminous amounts of things. I don't know whether any of them are incriminating or not. But I will tell you that beginning in September, which was right around the time of the bond hearing, this is when they started turning over evidence. So they have, and we looked at a list of things that they have not turned over yet. As of the other day, they had not turned a lot of things over, but they have turned over the 911 call and the logs and the cell phone extraction and a timeline summary and an overall timeline summary and some audio recordings and lots of photos. And then there's something called Avigilon recordings, AVIGILON. And so if anybody's in law enforcement, you can let me know, but I did do a search on this. And I think those are surveillance videos. I think that's a type of system, AVI, right? Or .AVI is the way you get those videos, right? So there's a lot of those kind of surveillance. I think those are surveillance videos, but I'm not sure. Then they've got some patrol statements, and then they've got patrol car videos, but they were not wearing body cam. They've got some off-site videos, a scene scan file. And no, I have a top on. Oh, for the love of the traveling Mary, please do not spread that rumor. Yeah, it does in the light. It looks kind of skin colored. I was going to wear my Rangers jersey because the Rangers are playing tonight. So we got to be done before that. They have a scene scan file, scan documents, all kinds of social media downloads of Sarah Grace Patrick, some structured interviews. There's one 4-hour interview that they did of Sarah. I think that was like the day before they arrested her. And we're going to listen to her dad talk about that a bit. And then it looks like they turned over another evidence dump on the 30th of September. But based on everything that I wrote down in my notes, it looks like all the same stuff was just turned over again. So I'm not really sure. And then there's some crime lab reports that I want to show you, because that's going to give us some sort of hint to what evidence they may have. Right? Let's look at that first. And that, for some reason, even I couldn't download it from the court file because it's in some weird format. All right. It seems a little disjointed tonight, I know, but if you're just tuning in for part 2, go watch part 1 later, and hopefully it'll tie it all together for you. All right. This was turned over to the defense at the end of October. So this is the 25th of October. This is the evidence that was turned over. Hang on a sec. And when they turn over discovery in Georgia, the first page of them turning over discovery is what's called an electronic discovery certificate of authenticity. They're actually certifying that this evidence is actually authentic. Can you imagine? Never heard of such a thing. And so somebody certifies it, and they execute an affidavit saying all of this stuff is real. It's authentic. Here's why, because I'm signing an affidavit under penalties of perjury. And here's what they turned over. And I know that I have one of the smartest chats on the internet. And I know that so many of you are in all kinds of occupations, retired law enforcement, crime scene technicians, forensics experts, therapists. We have so many psychologists, and we have our wicked smart chat. Here's the electronic discovery audit log and there are many, many of them. This is just one that I've chosen to show you because I found it interesting. Latoya Williams, first of all, is the public defender who's defending Sarah Grace. She is a queen. She is a queen, as is her investigator who also testified. She's another female, and she's a queen. Both of them together are like unbelievable. If you guys didn't watch the little part of the bond hearing that we played the other day, we played the whole bond hearing. The judge's name is Dusty Hightower. He looks just like Jake Ryan from that old John Hughes movie, 16 Candles. And the defense attorney, Latoya Williams, is drop dead gorgeous, as is her investigator. And she seems to really care about her client. They both seem very nurturing. They're very kind. And it seems like this is going to be a good trial to watch for trial watchers, not just because we want justice, but also because the public defender and her investigator seem so kind. All right, so here's some crime lab reports. Here's what I noticed first. GSR. Gunshot residue? I don't know, spitballing with you. So apparently there are some crime lab reports that have to do with gunshot residue, and they're dated October 17th, 2025. That's when they were sent to the defense. He does look like Jake Ryan, right? He does. Oh, the investigator is her daughter, Priscilla? How much do I love this? It's a mother-daughter team. Wait, can you, sometimes I highlight comments and the person is mistaken and then I run with it and then I feel foolish. So if you know for 100% fact that the investigator, and it makes sense because they are both the same kind of gorgeous. It makes sense. All right, so we got some gunshot GSR reports here. 1, 2, 3. So there's one items 19 and 21, and then there's 2 items here, maybe 1 item here. Here's a crime lab report. So it looks like they have something. It doesn't mean that it's incriminating, but they've got some stuff that they've just started turning over in October. NIBIN, I looked this up. This is ballistics. Ballistics, because we know that they were shot to death, multiple gunshot wounds. I don't think they've ever found the gun, But were they able to match the ballistics to any other gun? I would want to know that because, based on the grooves and stuff in the ammunition and the bullets and the spent casings or cartridges, they can sometimes match that. Yes, I did. I looked it up. I looked up everything. I got to be right. Dude, girl, what? And he's like, girl, what? I'm like, yeah, I can't be giving out the wrong information. I cover a lot of cases and a lot of stuff. It's the ballistics database. That's right, it is. More GSR in the next report here. And then there's a blood examination of something. DNA typing. The autopsy for James Brock. Here's another DNA typing report. Tell me what this means. Tell me what this means, smarty. Who said, girl, what? DB, tell me what this means. For real, for real? Crime lab report, and it's got the case number, right? And then it says 1 firearms, 22625 items, 2-5. Does that mean they found a firearm? Or does that just mean, what does that mean? It means they found one? But I don't want to put wrong information out there. Maybe they took an exemplar from the home and they were trying to see, they were doing some testing to see if it would match up, because here's another one. And I don't know if they had firearms in their home. This is item 2-5 and this is item 3-5 and 13. So maybe they had multiple firearms that they were testing against the casings. I know the snark is top shelf. They don't have the guns. See, that's why. But maybe did they find some guns in the home and then they went out and tested them and shot them to see if the bullets would match. All right. And here's another one, another crime lab report. So without having the actual reports attached to this, all I can show you is that here's an investigator note. They actually keep notes. They take notes there too. I can show you they're actually turning over evidence to the defense, at least as of October. Now, something else interesting, because we're not done yet, is where did it go? It disappeared. Hold on. Hold, please. In the opposition, they filed an opposite. There was a motion to change venue, denied. There was a motion for an adjournment saying that we still don't have this stuff from the prosecution, and so January 5th is a ridiculous trial date, denied. Both were denied. But some interesting stuff came out. Hold, please. Because now I have to find out where I put it. Crime lab discovery. This was turned over to the defense November 25th. Check this out. Certificate of service. Here's what they turned over. It says they loaded school records. This person's handwriting, which is on every single one of these certificates of service, is sometimes hard to read. And so I'm not sure if this says DA jail call or if that says defendant, like DFT jail call. Loaded school records, some kind of jail call, audio, interview, glove, GSR, see attached, onto LaToya Williams' 32 gigabyte drive. So she brings her hard drive in there and they load all of the evidence onto it. And she stands there, I guess, while they do it. This is the way they do it in Georgia. So apparently there was a glove taken from the home and tested for GSR, and we don't know what the results are, but the defense attorney does. It means the, but it's short and cooler to say it's duh jail call. No, I don't think that's what they said. No. I think it's the defendant's jail calls or the DA jail calls. What we also know is that they did collect a glove from the home. And I know this because when the state responded to the motion for an adjournment, they said, oh, here's all the stuff that we're going to turn over right now. And they turned over the glove testing and some other things. But I have to find that document for you. So while I'm looking for that document, because everything's lost right now, let's take a look at the interview that Sarah Grace Patrick's father did. That robot in the corner thought I was talking to it. There are no other suspects in the case. But here's what you're going to hear her father say, that they thought it was a drug deal gone bad and that the mother had been dealing. Please be careful what you write in the chat because YouTube has this weird AI program that scans the chat for words they don't like, and then it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. All right, let's take a look at this interview. This guy in Law and Crime, he gets it done. He gets all the interviews and he gets it done. He's got a show called On the Case. And this was posted. His name is Chris Stewart. This was posted 5 months ago, soon after Sarah Grace was arrested, and he got an interview with her dad. And so let's take a listen to this interview and keep in mind that sometimes what they say is just as important as what they don't say. I just wanted to get right to the beginning of the interview, which is maybe about 3 minutes in. If you didn't see the eulogy, we watched that on the last stream. You should go back and watch that. All right, so here you go.
Authentic. And they also found it odd that Sarah said sorry at the end of the eulogy, but you'll hear what Sarah Grace's dad has to say about that in just a moment. Doniel,
tell me if you can hear this or if I should boost the volume for you. His name is Doniel Patrick. That is her father, Doniel Patrick.
Doniel Patrick is Sarah Grace. What Sarah Grace's dad has to say about that in just a moment. Doniel Patrick is Sarah Grace Patrick's dad. He says that his daughter is 100% innocent. He was with her during an interrogation the day before warrants were issued for her arrest. He says she also lived with him after the murders for 4.5 months. He drove.
You can hear it? Let me just boost it a little tiny bit. Somebody said boost it. I'd like it to be like even with my own sound. So let's just say.
To the sheriff's office to turn herself in after they were told that Sarah was going to be charged with the murders of the Brocks. He spoke with me in his first interview since his daughter's arrest. Here's what he had to say. Joining me now is Doniel Patrick, who is Sarah Grace Patrick's dad. Thank you for taking the time to be with us on Law and Crime. There's a lot that I want to get to, but let's just begin with, I know it was a tough day, the day that you learned your daughter was going to be arrested. What was your reaction when you heard that news that that's what police were going to do?
I was in shock, first of all, and it really it broke my heart. And I was just scared for my daughter, not knowing what was going to happen next.
Law enforcement had said that you had to take her to, I guess they had called, and then you brought her to the police station. I mean, what was that whole process like for you, and how it all went down?
So the whole process was the day before they brought us in for a witness impact statement is what they were saying, and they were supposed to give property back. When we went in there to allow my daughter to talk, they interrogated her, and we were there for maybe 4 hours or so, and my daughter told them everything that they wanted to know multiple times. At the end of it, they started throwing pictures of her parents at us. Her stepdad and her mom, deceased with gunshot wounds. And
Yeah, so I guess at the end of the interview, they started throwing down the crime scene photos with her parents, or her mom and her stepdad anyway, which is brutally murdered. Hang on one second. Just hold 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. They started throwing down the crime scene photos to try and get her, apparently, to confess. And to this day, I don't think that she has confessed. So let's keep listening to this.
And we stopped. As a father, she was considered a minor at the time. So I stopped the interview and told them that we were not going to talk no more, and they let us go. I asked them if they were arresting her, and they said no. And about 2 hours later, I guess it was, I received a call from them saying that I have to turn her in by 10 o'clock in the morning, or else they would send out the U.S. Marshals. So I talked to my daughter. She was actually headed back to Alabama to be with one of her friends. And I talked to her, and the lady that lives with me that I'm renting from, she went straight to Alabama and picked my daughter up, and we spent the night together. And then 10 o'clock in the morning, we complied. We didn't turn her in, but we came in and we did what they asked.
Before we get back to this story, we need.
So the way the media spun this, right, was that her father turned her in. Like her father knew she was guilty and he brought her there and he turned her in. No, there were warrants out for her arrest, and they gave him the courtesy to say, would you bring her in? Unlike Karen Reed, they knew that Karen Reed was represented by David Yannetti, and they didn't give him a courtesy call and say, we're going to go arrest her when they upgraded the charges to murder. They just went and arrested her so that they could get all their body cam perp walk footage, right? And yes, everything sometimes does go back to Karen Reed, because so many of you started watching trials with Karen Reed and think that's just the way it is. No, that's not just the way it is. Not just the way it is. They actually do grant courtesies in other states to even parents, even if she's not represented by an attorney.
To take a break and bring you a law and crime legal alert.
No, we don't want to hear his commercials, so we're going to fast forward a little bit. There we
go. When you're in there were you in the room with her for the full 4 hours of the interview?
Yes, sir.
4 hours.
Because I know police have said, law enforcement, that their words were like, we have a mountain of evidence against Sarah Patrick. Do you have any indication of what that mountain is, of what they think that they have on your daughter?
I can't really speak too much to the evidence. I don't want to talk too much, but if they say they have a mountain of evidence, that folder was pretty thin. That's all I will say. So they showed us a little bit of stuff, but without attorneys around, I don't really want to speak of that evidence. So, but the evidence that they did show us did not add up at all.
Going back to.
Okay, I just want to, there's a TikTok on the screen right now. Many of you are not looking at the screen. And so I'm going to read to you what it says. It's a picture for like dancing in front of the TV. And it says, they don't know it, but a year from now, me and my 5-year-old sister would find them wrongfully shot dead in our home and won't get to watch me graduate high school, see me walk down the aisle, and couldn't even say goodbye.
to, and I know it's a tough day to go back to.
And then there's a picture of her crying, looking like she's in her bed with a blanket, and it says, "I just want my mama." Look, I have teenage daughters. To me, this is not unusual. To me, this is how teenage girls and boys, express their feelings by publishing them on TikTok. It is not something that you and I maybe ever did when we were growing up, but that's what they do when they're 16. It's heartbreaking. I know. People are so evil. I agree. Bees on Mars says, Dad seems to be doing the best he can. This would be hard for anybody.
February 20th.
And then here's another one. She's crying. Her mascara's running down her face. I can't do it without my mom. It's heartbreaking.
All of this happened. What did Sarah say to you about what she witnessed that night?
Well, I got a call that morning. I was going to work, and normally my daughter would call me or text me before going to school, telling me she loves me and have a good day. And I answered the phone, I believe it was around 7:40 to 7:45, and nobody was talking. So I thought that she had just butt dialed me, as most people would say. I was headed to work, and 15 minutes later, I received a call from the ambulance, because they put her in an ambulance first, her and her sister. And they told me that Kristin and James were deceased. And from there, I broke down because I didn't know what was going on. They asked me to come pick her up. At the time, I didn't even know the address. I've only been there to that house during our custody battle for the children once. And then one time whenever Kristin had been arrested, I had to go pick up my child and bring him home. And then this was
one time when Kristin had been arrested. Kristin was Sarah's mom. I am not victim blaming or shaming, but this woman had a record. We looked at some of the things the other day. There was some other family violence restraining orders that had been filed between James Brock, the stepfather, and Kristin, the stepmother, even before they were married. And so she had a record. Maybe she was hanging around dangerous people. Maybe there were some dangerous people around. Let's keep listening.
The third time, and it took 20 or 30 minutes just to figure out an address, because nobody was talking to me. Nobody was letting my daughter call back. I received a message that she would be up at the sheriff's station, and I went to the sheriff's station to pick her up. Kristin's mother was there. It was a very, very hard morning.
Okay. And right before that, there's another picture of her looking very sad on TikTok, I guess. It says, "This can't be real," on the way to my parents' funeral. And that was the day she wore the blue dress to the funeral. I thought she looked beautiful. She gave a eulogy that I thought had to be scripted, because everybody writes down the eulogy that they're going to read. Nobody just comes and does a eulogy off the cuff without notes. Everyone scripts a eulogy. But her dad says it wasn't scripted. And people gave her shit for that. Oh, well, look at her. She's not even wearing black to a funeral. I don't know. 16-year-olds often don't even maybe have a black dress. Does that mean she's guilty? Is this all consciousness of guilt? Or is this just the ridiculous way the media has been painting this child? It hasn't even been a year. She will be tried within a year. This trial is starting Monday. The murders were February 20th of 2025. They did the same thing to Carly Gregg. They rushed that case to trial within, I think, a year.
Kristin's mother was there. It was a very, very hard morning. They took her back for questioning, and I was in the room, and we just did what they asked us to do. I thought nothing of it. We didn't have any kind of clue of what the nature of the crime was. We talked to the detectives, and from there, they took a break in between, and they were like, would you like to go outside, get a breath of air, smoke a cigarette or whatever? And that's what I did. I came back into the room and they were interrogating her without my permission. She was 16 at the time.
Yeah, that's not right. He's her biological father. He's her guardian because now her mother, who had custody, apparently there was a bitter custody battle between these two. And I think at one point she did live with her dad. Katie O'Keefe, are you a relative? Katie says it was her mom's favorite color. And then I think Katie said earlier that she stopped the interview. So Katie, my heart is with your family. It sounds like you are on the free Sarah Grace side, and we're here for you. Kind of a relative. Okay. So if you're a family, if you're kind of family, you know a lot about this case. She lived with you. So Katie says she lived. Sarah lived with her at some point. Katie was testifying in the bond hearing. Oh, we saw your testimony. We played it the other day. Thanks. Thank you. Critical True Crime has done a lot of work on this case as well. Thanks you guys for being here. You're not supposed to interrogate a minor outside the presence of their parent, especially when their parent is outside smoking a cigarette. Okay. Anybody who's ever watched one episode of Law and Order SVU knows that Olivia Benson would never do that. Let's take it back a second. These pictures that are scrolling through from Law and Crime are of, I guess that's James Brock and Kristin.
They were interrogating her without my permission. She was 16 at the time. And then from there, they let us go. We were there for quite a few hours. I know they were doing their job because that's what they're supposed to do. But from there, we just went home.
Over the past 4.5, 5 months since it happened, and then when the Carroll County Sheriff's Office said that she was going to be charged with these murders, I mean, what indication did you get that they were looking at her as a suspect during that time?
Well, I got no indication at all because they weren't talking to me because I was not next of kin. They were talking to, of course, Dennis and, James is next of kin. So I never heard from them for 4.5 months. I just, we were starting to try to get over the situation. We were still in mourning, and they called
and that's not unusual. He's not next of kin to either Kristin or James, right? He's not family. He's divorced from Kristin. So law enforcement would not be updating him on, any breaks in the case or any evidence or anything like that. But he is the father and only remaining living biological parent of Sarah Grace, the suspect. And I guess we'll see when he brings her in, what they've told him since then about what evidence they have.
I said, they called us up and asked us to come in, said that they were going to give back property like my daughter's phone and some jewelry and stuff like that. And so we went in, and that's how everything happened the other day when they took out the warrants.
And I know that the sheriff had...
If you're not looking at your screen, come back and look at your screen too, because they want you to think, I don't know, I guess this was something else that she posted on TikTok, and she looks beautiful and she doesn't even look slutty, but they're going to try and say that if they allow this in the trial, which I hope Dusty Hightower doesn't, Judge Dusty Hightower. This is what girls do. She looks beautiful. I don't think there's anything inappropriate about this particular video. This one here, well, she's outside a sliding glass door, making poses and smiling and letting her hair blow in the wind like girls do. Katie said, they said it was illegal because he had already given permission to speak to her. They pretty much said it, not their fault that he got up to leave the room. Okay, of course. Thank you, Susan, for your 5. I love you too. I love you more. Thank you. Tell me what you think of this little snippet of a video.
And so we went in, and that's how everything happened the other day when they took out the warrants.
And I know that the sheriff had said, or the sheriff's office spokesperson for them, that Sarah had lived with the Brocks like short term. What was kind of the living, like how long, how would you characterize and I know it's difficult with divorce, and divorce is complicated, and this is tough, but what was the relationship, I guess, between Sarah and the Brocks?
She loved them. She loved them with all her heart. Me and Kristin, we got divorced 2019. She got with James in 2018. My kids lived with her for about a year, and then Kristin got in a little bit of trouble. And
he's even being respectful to his deceased ex-wife that he had a bitter custody battle with. Kristin got in a little bit of trouble. A little bit of trouble. I think he's downplaying it because I'm not sure exactly what the little bit of trouble is, but it sounds like an arrest. Let's hear that again. Yeah, Kylie says, I appreciate how respectful this interview is being, and also how respectful her father is being about her deceased mother.
And Kristin got in a little bit of trouble, and I went back to the courts during COVID and fought for custody, and I won full custody of both of my kids, and they came home with me. I went through a divorce, and after my divorce, I wouldn't say I wasn't stable. I was working and everything like that, but Kristin and James had more to provide as far as at home, school systems and stuff like that.
So he went into court. He got full custody. I think she has a brother, right, with him. She has a brother with her biological dad. And he won full custody, and then he was going through some stuff. He went through a divorce, and I guess he thought it would be better for them to go and live with their mom because of the schools.
And it was my daughter's choice to go back and live with them. And I allowed it because I thought that things were getting better, and we went from there. And so Sarah's been with them, I think, since 2023.
Did she have, and I know you said that she loved them. There's been a lot of talk about her social media, and we can talk about that in a moment. But was there any sort of issue she had with them at all that would have, for people looking at this and hearing what the sheriffs are saying, like any sort of problem in the house that could have led to something?
I wouldn't say there was any kind of problem in the house. I think that she was just a normal teenager growing up, and when she didn't get her way, she called me, and when she didn't get her way with me, she called them. It's just a typical teenager.
As children do. When mom says no, ask dad. Another picture of her looking in a mirror. Again, they're going to try and make it seem like I don't know what, but we looked at a motion in limine the other day where the defense is trying to keep out certain text messages about Sarah Grace's sex life and things like that. So I'm sure they were trying to use this against her too.
There wasn't many problems in the house. I mean, other than sometimes, their punishments, was different than my punishments. But other than that, no, there was actually no problems in the home that I knew of at all.
For you, I know she had lived with you since the deaths of the Brocks. Were there any red flags for you over that period of time? Like for people who have just kind of heard this and you have the sheriff's office saying that she's responsible for this, and then she's living with you for this period of time. Was there anything that stood out to you that at any point you were thinking or maybe even suspecting your daughter of being accused of this?
Not at all, not one bit. Of course, when it all happened, there was a lot of crying, a lot of tears, a lot of mourning. A few weeks after we started, applying to jobs and stuff like that, she graduated high school. We had a couple different holidays that were pretty difficult because, Mother's Day, her mother's birthday, her own birthday. And, nothing indicated to me at all that she could have done this. Me and my daughter have 100% an open relationship. I know about her boyfriends. I know about anything that she done. I've told her always, if you're ever in trouble, if you ever need me, if you're going to do something that's behind my back, you can always call me, and we lived a typical life, but there was no red flags at all.
I'm sorry. There's no good place on the screen for these captions. There's no good. I've moved them like 14 times. Here's a picture of Sarah on a dirt road. They've blurred out the face of the boy. He's giving her a bouquet of wildflowers. They look happy. I don't know what they're going to try and use this for. But again, typical 16-year-old stuff. And they are trying to shame her. I agree with you.
She expressed her feelings about her mom a lot. You know, we started going to the same church that Brocks went to because, you know, after this incident, you know, it took my children's home away. It took their security away. And I didn't want it to take their faith away. And that's about it. I mean, but other than that, no red flags. My daughter, you know, I know she was on TikTok and she was reaching out to people from what I understand. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not, as you can see, you know, trying to even hook up this conversation with you. I'm not very good with technology. But I know that she reached out to people on TikTok because she was wanting help. Because
here's a TikToker on your screen who apparently got a message from Sarah Grace saying, search up the Brock case. They're my parents. I can't read the entire screen. Kristin and James Brock, they're my parents. And I'm not sure if this is the TikToker who got the messages from her or if this is someone who was just reporting it on TikTok, but that's what kids do. They go to TikTok.
We weren't getting answers from Carroll County. You know, the only people that were getting answers was the next of kin, not my daughter, not me, not nobody. So for the last 4.5 months, we lived waiting for answers ourselves.
The spokesperson for the sheriff's office who announced her arrest.
Remember her?
When we spoke with her and we asked about just asking for, on their end, the red flags that they felt to then get to the point where they would make an arrest or anything along the way. And I know there's been a lot made about what Sarah said at the Brock's funeral.
Here's the picture of her.
And
Here's the picture of her doing the eulogy.
A lot made about
right there. See the blue dress that she's wearing? People were like, oh, so inappropriate. The audacity of people who don't even know this girl to pass judgment on her for wearing a blue dress, which Katie tells us was her mother's favorite color. And it's a beautiful dress, by the way. The PR spin lady. I thought when she first did that presser, I thought it was the DA. She was nothing more than the mouthpiece for the sheriff's department. Wow.
What Sarah said at the Brock's funeral and her speech. And they said because they felt they said this, that it was scripted. And then at the end, she said, sorry. And that was to at least the spokesperson, something that for them was like, wait a second, what's going on here? I know you were very.
Yes, she looks like Alice in Wonderland there. I know. That's what it reminded me of too. It reminded me of Alice. The house is a crime scene. She couldn't get to her clothes. It's light green, says Katie. It looks like Alice in Wonderland to me, and I like it. I like it. But also, she was apologizing because in the beginning she says something like, I stutter a lot, so I apologize. I mean, chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't stuttering a sign of, stuttering could be a sign of what? Trauma? Children who have been through trauma sometimes will apologize for their own shadow. Come on, man.
Very proud of your daughter and to get up on stage and to give that speech. What's your perspective of the eulogy she gave at the Brock's funeral?
That eulogy was not scripted. My daughter came with that eulogy through her heart for her mom and James, because she thought she was doing the right thing speaking, and for people to hold that against her, I mean, come on. None of that was scripted. That was all real emotions. Real emotions. You know, she asked me permission to do it, and I gave her permission. And she's a very talented girl, you know, when it comes to being able to speak. I mean, we can sit at a table and she can say a blessing 10 times faster than most people. As far as the I'm sorry goes, you can sneeze on my daughter and she'll tell you I'm sorry. You know, that's she says I'm sorry to everything.
See, she says I'm sorry to everything. I think when she said I stutter a lot, she meant she stutters a lot in general, not just giving the eulogy, because she said it right at the beginning, right before she started the eulogy, if I recall correctly, right?
Not just to the eulogy, you know. Really, I mean, you can step on her toe and she'll tell you she's sorry she was in the way. That's just the type of girl she is.
And I know you had said that they didn't really talk to you because I guess how the family tree works, you wouldn't be considered next of kin. But how often was she communicating, whether it was the interrogation, the day of her arrest or day before, and then you have right after the murders happened? Did she talk about how often she was communicating with law enforcement, kind of in that 4.5-month period?
She used my phone to talk to the investigators for, I guess, for the first month or so until everything kind of started to quiet down. They quit talking to her. She was very open with them. Every time she had any idea of a suspect or what could have went on, she told them. She texted them, and other than that, I wouldn't know no more than that. I let her do what she thought was right.
I know some people have also said, and I know you've only been in the house a couple times, but for there to be gunshots.
Guess what? The house is for sale. The house is for sale. I've got the Zillow listing. We'll look at that after. I wonder if Georgia has the law where you must disclose to the buyers that it is a murder house, or you don't have to disclose it until they ask, or if they ask. If there's any Georgia realtors in the chat, let me know.
Shots in the home. And then apparently James
Wait.
Times. I know some people have also said, and I know you've only been in the house a couple times, but for there to be gunshots in the home, and then apparently James had some sort of heart machine that would have gone off and made a lot of noise if his heart had stopped beating. And there is that question of, how does she not hear this? What do you say to that?
Well, the LVAD machine that controlled his heart, it was a constant thing that it would go off. We went out to dinner before with them. I personally treated them to dinner a few times, and the LVAD would go off, and it could be something as small as blood pressure or just any little minor thing, and that LVAD would go off. To me, it wasn't too loud. And he would able.
We've talked about that before too. How many teenagers sleep with AirPods in? How many of them sleep with rain sounds on or thunderstorms on or something to sleep? I don't find that to be that shocking, but again, it looks like a very small house to me.
Whatever the problem was, he would be able to regulate that and make it stop. If he couldn't make it stop, then it was a trip to the hospital. And there was a few trips to the hospital, but that machine, when it went off, it was almost normal to them.
Right. And he did have an LVAD. He had a number of heart surgeries, I believe. And I think was even on a transplant list, I think somebody said at one time. And Mr. Crawley says that people keep saying that Sarah didn't hear it, but the little sister didn't hear it either.
It was a part of their life at that point since he's had that. So I don't know much about LVAD and the heart problems that he had,
Sure.
But I do know that about the machine. Like I said, we were eating and it went off.
What theories, when you were, I don't know how often you would talk about that night with your daughter, but I guess when you would get to that point where you'd speculate about what may have happened, what does Sarah think happened that night?
All right, here we go. Listen up. If your mind has wandered, here comes the tea.
I don't like to talk bad about them and their deaths and stuff like that because I know that families are hurting and stuff like that, but Sarah knows more than most people knows. And the only thing that she could think of was there was drug deals go wrong.
The only thing she could think of was there was a drug deal that went wrong. Go. Oh, the gunshots. The sister didn't hear the gunshots either. Thank you, Mr. Crowley. I haven't seen the child's statement, and there was some motion practice about that, and I think it had just been turned over, so I haven't seen it. So that's interesting to me that the little girl didn't hear gunshots either. Right, exactly. All right, here we go. They thought it was a drug deal gone wrong.
You know, they ripped somebody off a couple months before that, and Sarah thought that it could be that person.
They ripped somebody off a couple of months before that because Kristin and James might have been dealing drugs. He said it, not me. Let's hear that again. Were these other people ever investigated?
And the only thing that she could think of was there was drug deals go wrong. You know, they ripped somebody off a couple months before that, and Sarah thought that it could be that person. You know, and when I say drugs, I'm not talking about like, you know, the hardcore drugs or anything like that. From what I understand, it was over weed or something like that, but a substantial amount.
They ripped somebody off over a substantial amount of weed or something like that. And remember, weed is not legal in Georgia. Weed is not legal in Georgia.
And that's, you know, and she was telling the investigators that the whole time. And when we talked to the investigators, they said that they had already, you know, talked to them and said that they counted them out. So
they already talked to them and they counted them out. Do you believe that? I don't know. Who else was questioned? But wait, there's more. And right, this is what Linda Lane says. That's something you don't do, is rip off a drug dealer or somebody dealing drugs. I've seen it in my 68 years. You just don't do it. It's the kind of stuff that happens if you do. Anybody watch Landman? I mean, granted, that was a hell of a lot of cocaine that they lost in that plane crash. But remember what they did to Billy Bob almost, and what they did to a couple of other guys. Like, it happened. Yeah, they're saying they talked to the weed dealers. There's more. Hold on.
I mean, there was a incident that happened right before Valentine's. My son told me about, because when the detective came to my mom's house where I was staying, he started asking about certain people, and there was a friend of theirs that actually pulled a gun on them right before Valentine's Day, and my son witnessed it.
What? I'm sorry, what? There was a friend of the family who actually pulled a gun on them around Valentine's Day? What, you mean like 5 days before the murders? And his son was a witness to that? I'm sorry, what? Anybody ever investigate that person? Let's hear that again. So that would be Sarah Grace's full blood brother, right? She's got Kristin and this gentleman had 2 kids together, Sarah and a son, and he was a witness. Okay. The media never even ran with that at all. Did you ever even hear that in the media? And this interview was done in July. Has anybody ever had that as the headline? Sarah Grace's brother told detectives that 5 days prior to the murder, Kristin and James Brock had been threatened with a gun by a friend of the family? No, they didn't. That was never a headline. I would have remembered that headline. All I heard about was a girl crying on TikTok to ask TikTokers to cover her parents' murder. So she must have been looking for internet fame, and therefore she's guilty. I would love to know what kind of an investigation they did on that, but let's hear that again. He says, when we talked to the investigators, they told us that my son said this. Listen.
That the whole time. And when we talked to the investigators, they said that they had already, talked to them and said that they counted them out. So,
okay, now they talk.
I mean, there was a incident that happened right before Valentine's. My son told me about, because when the detective came to my mom's house where I was staying, he started asking about certain people, and there was a friend of theirs that actually pulled a gun on them right before Valentine's Day, and my son witnessed it.
Yeah.
I can't say his name or anything like that, but
his son witnessed a person pull a gun on Kristin Brock and James Brock 5 days before the actual murder. And Sarah Grace Patrick is the one sitting in jail awaiting trial on murder. That was never a headline. Never a headline. Because the more interesting headline is, girl murders her parents, then goes to TikTok to try and get internet famous. And that's what everyone knows about. That's the only stuff that people know about this case. Clip that.
That's my son, and he's not just going to make stuff up like that. My son was with me at the time of everything. He was actually on winter break. So I had my son for that entire week. But when it all happened, my son, he brought that up to us, that the family friend that had pulled a gun on James in the kitchen, and they asked him to leave and make him go walk the dogs.
Since you've talked with Sarah, since she's been in jail, what has she told you about any?
Is the son older or younger than Sarah?
Has she spoken with law enforcement since?
No, because when they did the interrogations and stuff like that, or what they called the impact statement, they all played really friendly until they got to the end, and they wanted to just slam her at the end. And after the warrants came out and everything, we told her, not talk to them no more, because we couldn't trust them. We couldn't trust their integrity at that point.
Sounds familiar. He was 12 at the time. Well, he must have been scared to death. I hear that again. When they did the interrogations, they were really friendly, and then it seemed like they had no integrity. All right, well, I'm interested. I don't know much about law enforcement in Carroll County, Georgia, but I have a feeling there are some people in the chat who do.
Until they got to the end, and they wanted to just slam her at the end. And after the warrants came out and everything, we told her, not talk to them no more, because we couldn't trust them. We couldn't trust their integrity at that point. And that's pretty much it.
For you as a dad, and I know you have a son who has been impacted by this, you're working just as a regular person, still carrying on with that part of your life. I mean, what is your day-to-day like since Sarah was arrested?
My heart's been broken, man. It's hard to hold it together. I work in the construction field. Since she's been arrested, I couldn't even tell you the weather, because I don't even want to get on media, because all the bad things that are being said. It's my daughter, and my day-to-day is just, when I talk to her, that's the highlight of my day, just to get to talk to her, whether it's 15 minutes or an hour. I have to maintain my normal life, because I still have my son to take care of, and I have her to take care of. And
he's just a dad out there doing the best he can. Just like all the rest of us parents. We're just out here doing the best we can. Now that you said that my shirt is skin colored, I can't unsee it. So I'm just to show you that I'm wearing clothes. Look, sleeve. It has sleeves. Just doing the best he can. Just a normal dad trying to do the best he can.
Honestly, I can't miss a day of work. I'm just your typical blue collar father that's trying to take care of his kids. when this all happened, I won't lie, my kids lost a lot of their security. Me, James, and Kristin, we were working together on raising them, and we were doing a really good job, And when this happened, it threw a whole curveball until
They were trying to co-parent. Bizon Mars says this is the parent's nightmare. I feel for him. Spartan Wife 27 says this county in Georgia, buckle up. Carroll County could surprise us all. Might make Fulton look competent. Oh boy. Can't wait for this mountain of evidence.
all of our lives, not just, not just mine, not just Sarah's, not just Donnie's or Jaylee's. It threw a curveball into everybody's life.
And I know there's only so much that you can say about kind of the evidence and the investigation part of it. So if you can't answer this, I totally get it. Did law enforcement indicate to you that they have the alleged murder weapon in all of this?
No, not at all. Not at all. They don't have a weapon. There's been no weapon found. I mean, they searched that property for days and days, and there was no weapon found.
With the house.
Never found a weapon. This interview, somebody asked, hi, Mitchell. This was in July, right after Sarah Grace's arrest. July 2025. Searched it for days. No murder weapon. No murder weapon.
And I haven't been to the home. I do know Carrollton a little bit, but it seemed like it was a home on a kind of just a regular road with, not neighbors that are close by. I mean, with the makeup of the house, I mean, what do you want people to know about that home and kind of the makeup as they're trying to picture and piece together?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked because we have the Zillow listing for the house. Why don't we go to that? Let's go to the Zillow listing for the house and you can see what you can buy in Carroll County, Georgia. Oops, Carrollton, Georgia, to be exact. I'm assuming the house is vacant right now, right? Please. Here it is. Here's the listing. It's listing at $379,999. Lieutenant Pez Dispenser Tully. I would love to interview the dad if he was willing to come on the show. I'd be happy to if anybody knows him and he wants to contact me. My email is in the show notes below. It's fanbase@mlittlelaw.com. We watched the clip of the grandpa the other day, Marissa. Yes, we're going to talk about the cameras in a second. Critical to true crime. Thank you for reminding me exactly what I'm getting to. So hang on. We're going to get to it. Here's the house. Listing at $379,999. We don't know if Georgia has an automatic disclosure law where they must tell any prospective buyer that the house is a murder house. It's a very small house. It is approximately, well, okay, not very small. It's 1,800 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and I believe it's about 1.5 acres. See if I can. Looks like they did maybe some renovations to it before it got put on the market. I don't know if they owned it. I don't know if they were renting it, and the landlord put it up for sale. And Gator Girl says only if the buyer asks. I think it's the same in Massachusetts. So I don't know if they were renting the house and the owner is now selling, the landlord is selling. I don't know if they owned it. I just don't know. So here we're going to just look at some more pictures of the home, and it could have been completely redone since the murders. It is 4 bedrooms. So let's see the inside. Let's get to the interior shots. It's an enormous backyard. It's like, I think it's 1.6 acres. And when I tell you what the property taxes are, those of you who live up here in the Northeast are going to be really mad. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, let's just say this maybe was a drug deal gone bad. Let's just say, right? If we're investigating, let's say maybe we would do an investigation. Okay. Here's a door. This looks like this door is on the side of the house. That's not the front entrance. So there's a side door, it looks like. Windows are the, what do you call these windows? Windows that open up and down, that double hung? I don't know. Yeah, this is $379. Let's go back. Here's another entrance, it looks like, with a wooden staircase. There's like an outbuilding here, kind of like a barn. And then there's a front porch with an entrance too. So there could be 3 entrances to this home. Looks like they put some really nice barn doors inside. Fresh coat of paint, hardwood floors. I don't know if they were renting. I don't know if that's true. I have no idea. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know if they owned it or if they were selling it. So I just don't know. I have no idea. It's a sash window. Thank you. Yeah, there is no probable cause affidavit. I've looked for it. If there's no weapon, Lieutenant Pez Dispenser Tully is asking what we want to know. If there's no murder weapon and no gun GSR on her, what WTF is the probable cause? Also, there is no probable cause filed here. There is only a true bill filed with all of the charges. There's no evidence with respect to the charges. That is the only thing I could find in the court file, and I read the whole entire thing. I have no idea what the probable cause was because it's just not in the court file. Jomar says also in rural areas, you hear gunshots and fireworks all the time. That's what's normal out in those areas. Even here on Long Island, we hear it all the time. I have neighbors who are they're setting off fireworks every weekend. There's a reason for fireworks and M80s, and we hear it all the time, and we're heavily populated. So it's not something here that would even make anybody go, freak out, right? So you can see hardwood floors. It looks like a pretty open floor plan. I don't know if these barn doors were there at the time to close off what looks like the living room. I mean, beautiful. The interior has beautiful molding. What looks like some wainscoting over here. Somewhat of a galley kitchen. But her dad, Doniel Patrick, was not familiar with the layout of the house because I don't think he said he was never there. Yeah, it looks like wood ceilings. They may have redone the kitchen since the murders. Carpeting in the bedroom. Ceiling fans. They look like decent sized bedrooms. I don't know if they're all on the same level. But there are 92 photographs. That looks like a lovely bathroom. Katie has said the house was redone and owned by the dad. The stepdad or Doniel? Which dad? I don't think it was Doniel. Isn't that whose interview we were just watching? Was Doniel Patrick's? Oh, the grandfather. The grandfather? Oh, the dad of Kristin? You mean Kristin's dad? Okay. I'm picking up what you're laying down, guys. Takes a minute sometimes. So if we go back to the listing, there's 92 photos. If you want to look it up yourself, the address is 1531 Tyus Carrollton Road in Carrollton, Georgia. Built in 1947, beautifully renovated. Okay, 4-bedroom, 2-bath home on 1.5 acres in Carrollton. Move-in ready. And the property taxes, are you ready? Are you ready for it? $2,750 per year in 2024. $2,750 per year. Right. Going back to the interview.
Or what law enforcement is saying and what they say played out.
I really don't know too much about the home. Like I said, I've only been there a few times, and I won't lie, when we had to go back and recover some of the property and stuff like that, I was pretty much still in a state of shock. It was just your basic, I guess, ranch-style home. I guess the closest neighbor was to the left, maybe 100 yards or so, and I don't really remember how far the one on the right was. So I didn't really pay much attention to those details.
I know on Facebook you wrote a lengthy post that just said you believe your daughter is 100% innocent. Why now What is, coming forward, speaking publicly, why is it important for you to do this?
Because I see what everybody's putting my daughter through. There's not many people advocating for her, and as her father,
We're here. We're here. We have over 2,000 people watching right now. We're here, and that's a very small crowd for this channel. So share out this stream, please. This trial is starting on Monday. And after this, we're going to take a look at another, the state's response to the reason why they didn't turn over a whole bunch of evidence.
I need to advocate, and the reason that I took so long was because I personally, I was scared. I didn't know what was going on, and it was a big blow to me. So I came out on Facebook and told everybody that because I wanted the world to know my opinion, because they know everybody else's opinion as far as the Brock family and stuff like that. But they're not hearing from anybody else other than me and Dennis at this point, and I feel like I have to step up.
What does Sarah? I know she's being represented.
Dennis is the grandpa, because we know that he thinks she's innocent too. We showed a clip of him the other day. That's Kristin's dad, right?
Presented by a public defender right now. What does her defense look like as this goes forward?
I'm not 100% sure. We're still waiting to talk to them and get into. I've been in touch with them, and we've been in touch with their investigator, and we've been in touch with the lawyer a couple of times, but at this point, they're not really talking too much. From what I understand, we've got an arraignment or something like. No, not an arraignment. I don't know how. I've never been in trouble, so I don't know how this stuff works. But
okay, well, we know he's never been in trouble. It's a good sign. Happy New Year.
We're waiting for a preliminary bond hearing and stuff like that.
Okay, so this was before the bond hearing. We watched the bond hearing the other day. Now I want to take you over to the state's response to the motion for the continuance, which is the Queen, Latoya Williams, attorney Latoya Williams, who's the public defender for Sarah, asked for an adjournment, and we looked at those papers the other day, and that entire stream is timestamped for you, so you can get right to that section. There was a list of evidence that the defense still did not have. And they said, we need an adjournment because we cannot go to trial on January 5th because the state still hasn't turned over all of these things. Well, here's what the state said. Their reasons for not turning over all of these things are. We're going to get a little more insight into what their case is. This is the state's response to the defendant's motion for a continuance. This was filed with the court November 20th of 2025. Comes now the state of Georgia by and through Assistant District Attorney Michael Parrish. The defense outlined items that they requested the state to provide. The list consists of 10 items the defense claims are still outstanding. These will be addressed in order. Number 1, the medical examiner's report for Kristin Brock. This report and accompanying photos are available for the defense to pick up in our office as told to the defense via email on the morning of November 19th of 2025. So I don't know why it was never available before November 19th of 2025 when the mergers were in February and they had turned over James Brock's autopsy, because I saw the certificate of service on that. But apparently then they turned it over. Number 2, the sound on the neighbors' cameras either don't work or seem corrupted. The state was made aware of this issue and played the video successfully on a number of different devices in our office and the sheriff's office. The state requested that the defense attempt to use a different player and offered use of the state's computers to play the audio along with the video. Seems like maybe that has been straightened out. Number 3, all police reports and supplements are on Word documents. And A, some have no badge number or name, so I'm unsure who wrote them. And B, we do not have the initial incident report from the Carrollton County PD. Defense is correct that the document is in Word format. If necessary, the state can convert the format of that file so the defense has it in that format. Here's the thing. A lot of law firms, first of all, law firms are like, at least back in my day, we're so behind on technology. I mean, we still had Word Perfect until like 5 years ago. And many devices will not open a Word document. People still send me Word documents. I'm like, hello, can I just have a PDF? How about a PDF? PDF would work great for me. If the defense can provide which reports in particular they are speaking about, we can provide a list of badge numbers or names corresponding to that report. Well, I'm sorry, but shouldn't it actually be on the report badge number? We don't need no stinking badge number. Come on. What is this? Canton? Word document police reports are insane. Okay, Kylie, I'm not crazy, right? There is no initial incident report from the Carrollton Police Department as this case was handled by the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. I don't know if that should raise my spidey senses, but that may be normal. I just don't know. If Carroll County Sheriff's Office would respond to something in this area instead of the Carrollton Police Department, I'm not sure. Right, Kylie says anyone can edit a document sent in Word format. There's no audit trail. Word Perfect, you know it, girl. You know it, big old dog. 1990? No, it had to be like, I think we were using Word Perfect up until like maybe like 2010. I'm not even kidding. Lawyers hate change. Everything's already in Word Perfect. What are we going to do? Convert everything? Number 4, listen to this. Okay, if your mind has wandered, come on back to me. Footage from inside the home alluded to in statements. The cameras in the room of the defendant were taken down in the days leading up to the shooting, and the camera in the room of the victims was not operating at the time of the shooting. All right. I think I absolutely had an AOL email address until it probably still exists until AOL is gone now. But if you find some old AOL address for me, do not use it. I will never check it. I don't even know how to use it. There were cameras inside Sarah Grace Patrick's bedroom. There was a camera inside the room of Kristin and James Brock. Now, I remember in the Carly Gregg case, that was in Mississippi. Carly Gregg was convicted of shooting her mother and killing her. She's 14. She is spending life without parole in Mississippi, in a Mississippi prison, probably in solitary because she's 14, because they do LWOP for children in Mississippi. I'm highly against that. There were cameras in the inside of that house. The cameras are what convicted her. We saw Carly go into I forget where she got the gun. She was holding the gun. She walked out into like the mother's bedroom. We heard the shots ring out. And then at some point, I think she hid the gun. I don't remember where, maybe in like the refrigerator or something. I forget. Well, the details are escaping me, but they did have cameras inside that house. Not in the bedrooms though, only in like the living room and kitchen. Katie says, and every angle of the outside, they had cameras. They hadn't worked in months. Carol says, were the cameras operating that night? Ding, 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 ding. Amy Adams says dealers often have inside cameras. Well, I wonder if the gun pulling around Valentine's Day that the son was a witness to by the people who got allegedly screwed on the weed deal. I wonder if that was caught on camera. Craftastical says there has to be some sort of history. They needed cameras in the bedroom. You've got mail. Do you remember AOL chat rooms and AOL Messenger? Oh my gosh. We do the blast in the past Gen X thing quite often here. So strange. Says KBD. Even Truckers Against Tie Clips says the camera thing is strange. Why is there a camera in a 17-year-old girl's bedroom? 16, she was 16 at the time. Oh, did I spell something wrong? I don't like spelling things wrong. Did I spell something wrong in the description? I cut and pasted. That's not an excuse, but I cut and pasted from another stream of mine. Oh, thank you. Kristin says, I found you during Karen Reed and recently finished watching your coverage of the Carly Gregg case. You did amazing coverage of that case. Thank you. Thank you. I had also had Bridget Todd on my show a couple of times after the case was over. And Shake a Leg Sherilyn says, dealers don't play. Just saying. Happy New Year, Sherilyn. Happy New Year. I can't look at it now, but I will. Because spelling things wrong is my pet peeve. Oh, it's just one. I have lots of pet peeves. Being late. Oh, it's Brock, and I wrote Burke. That's ridiculous, right? I'm going to change that right now. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out to me because I think I know why I did that. Because of James Burke. If you know, you know. He was the chief of police in Suffolk County, and he went to jail. Was the camera in the bedroom for her TikToks? I don't know. Katie says, I know why Sarah had one in her room. Well, don't tell us anything. If you're going to be a witness at the trial, you should not be telling us anything. Katie, I know you want to tell us everything, but I think it's a violation of privacy. Got it. I fixed it. Thank you. I know. I love and miss seeing Bridget Todd too. They tried to throw her under the bus. I think she moved to Utah. You got to catch up with her. The dealers took the cameras. It says Slim and Bones. Well, that would make sense if they came in and threatened them with a gun. Wouldn't that make sense? That would totally make sense. And here's what the state's response is. Here's why the footage from inside of the home that is alluded to in the statements. So in the statements that they took of Sarah and others, I guess, they allude to some footage from inside the home. And now the DA is telling the defense the cameras in the room of Sarah Grace were taken down in the days leading up to the shooting, and the camera in the room of the victims was not operating at the time of the shooting. Oops. I guess they don't have any of that footage. Number 5, we have received 3 PD dash cams recordings, 3 PD dash cam recordings, and 2 backseat cameras of patrol vehicles. However, we have not received any body cam recordings, audio, or video. The response is, this case was handled by the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. That agency does not have body cameras. They have dash cameras, which were provided to the defense. Did they have body cams at the Carrollton Police Department? Jean Marie, I love you, but things that are said in divorce papers are often hyperbolic, and I don't believe anything that I read in divorce papers from either side. They're written by attorneys who want to win. And I'm not going to read her divorce papers because I'm not going to do that. Moving on. Evidence photos relating to notebooks and items taken during the search warrant executed at another address, and I'm not sure whose address that is. Mainly Miss Patrick's notebooks that were taken and allegedly included statements by Miss Patrick about the incident and time after the incident as allegedly directed. She conducted by investigator Repetto. So I guess he told her to take notes, this investigator, like make a timeline. Photos of the home have been included in discovery. Additionally, the state has informed the defense of its willingness to go over any and all physical evidence, particularly the notebooks, at the defense's convenience. So you haven't shown them any physical evidence at this time in November when you're filing this with the court? A little odd, right? Number 7, crime lab, CSI photos and inventory. As mentioned above, the photos from the scene have been turned over and the state is willing to accommodate the defense in going over all of the items in evidence seized in relation to this case. Well, that's mighty big of you. Number 8, Detective Garman's list of evidence and video of the scene as mentioned in his reports. The state is looking into this request as pertains to anything not in discovery already turned over to the defense. Well, apparently there was a detective named Garman who wrote some reports and talked about keeping a list of evidence and videoed the scene, and the state will look into it. We'll look into it. We'll let you know. We'll let you know what we have. Number 9, Jaylee Brock's forensic interview and referral sheet and any resulting report. I don't know for sure, but I'm going to assume that's the 5-year-old. The forensic interview and all documentation have been turned over, and the state is in the process of obtaining anything else that may be in the hands of any other agencies relating to the forensic interview. I don't know. If a 5-year-old is your star witness, it might be a weak case. I don't know. Hello, Lulu Truth. Thank you for your all caps comment. Sarah said, I'm sorry after giving her parents' eulogy. Melanie Little is only giving you people one side of the story. Well, you people, first of all, you don't call my people you people. Second of all, we watched the entire eulogy in our first show about this case. And we watched the entire eulogy and we heard her say, I'm sorry. Do you think that she was saying, I'm sorry because she was sorry for murdering her parents? Do you think that that's what she was referring to? Or do you think she was saying, I'm sorry for crying during this eulogy? Or I'm sorry if I stuttered. I mean, you wanted the floor by all means. By all means, you just joined YouTube December 29th of 2025. So congratulations on day 4 of your YouTube journey, Lulu Truth. Thanks for coming on in with your thoughts. And so tell me, I mean, look, you wanted a little attention, you got it. Why do you think she said, I'm sorry? Because she murdered her parents? Do you have any forensic evidence? Is there any gunshot residue? We heard something about a glove. We don't know what the testing revealed. But congratulations on your YouTube journey and welcome. Welcome. I'm waiting for your response, but I guess you're not going to respond. I mean, maybe it's not a troll. Maybe it's like a genuine person who just joined YouTube 4 days ago and wants to come and tell us their thoughts about why Sarah Grace Patrick apologized during the eulogy, because she absolutely 100% murdered her parents, right? Because, I mean, she must have murdered her parents, right? Because who else would go to YouTube? I mean, who else would go to TikTok and ask TikTokers to help her find the real killer? She obviously must be guilty, right? I mean, of course. I know. I'm joking. See? Jenny knows. Being called out by Melanie is real. I love you. I'll call you out, Jenny. I love you. No, she didn't say, I'm sorry for killing her parents, says Jomar. I thought she just meant, I'm sorry this happened to you, says Sarah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, now we know exactly who you are, you loser. Say goodbye, asshole. Bye-bye. Oh, the day I sold my boat was the best day of my life. I'm sure that's what he's referring to, because I tell that to everyone. The greatest day of a boater's life is the day you sell your boat. But you go on with your badass self, because we know who you are. My. That was something Nan Gallagher put in the Young Jerks chat today. So maybe that was a sock puppet account for her. I don't know. Sock puppet account. I'm not really sure. Block Island is so lovely this time of year. But I mean, you revealed yourself too soon. Too soon. Number 10, Ms. Patrick's jail calls, emails, and visitations. Ms. Patrick's jail calls for July, August, and September have been turned over. The state advised the defense that they will be turned over by month. By month's end, maybe? Unless requested otherwise, or every month they're going to turn them over. Okay, got it. October will be provided shortly. Emails will likewise be turned over in the same fashion unless requested otherwise. Additionally, the state has informed the defense that there is currently discovery available to be picked up at our office. This includes the previously mentioned autopsy documentation regarding victim Kristin Brock and photos of the autopsy of both Kristin Brock and James Brock. Well, we know they had, autopsy photos, okay. We know they had crime scene photos because they showed them during her interrogation. In this discovery, the state has also provided the results of a DNA test of gloves found in the bedroom of the defendant. Okay. In this discovery, the state has also provided the results of a DNA test of gloves found in the bedroom of the defendant. DNA testing. It doesn't say GSR testing, notice. So they found some gloves in Sarah's bedroom somewhere where the cameras were taken down. And they tested them for DNA, and the results have been provided to the defendant. Don't know what the results are. If they were Sarah's gloves and she wore the gloves, of course they would have her DNA on them, right? For the foregoing reasons, the state asked this honorable court to set a date for a hearing on the defense motion for a continuance. And this was filed November 20th of 2025 by Michael Parrish, the Assistant District Attorney. I believe that he is the attorney who will be trying the case. And so there's something about gloves here. We know something. They've got gloves. But aside from that, I haven't seen a whole lot of slam dunk evidence. If anybody has seen it, please, by all means, let me know. As long as you didn't create your YouTube account 3 days ago. Back to the chat. Yeah, it doesn't say whose DNA. It just says that they turned over the results. Exactly. And it doesn't say gunshot residue. It says specifically DNA testing. Thank you, Miss Jessica. Sending you all the love from myself, Makazi G, aka Jason. We met here in your chat. Oh, do you guys have a love connection? Wait, Miss Jessica, are you and Makazi G, aka Jason the Deadhead, a thing? I had no idea, but if you are, I love that for you. Athena, the Belgian Mal, and Hades, the Dutch Shepherd. I love that. I love that. Thank you, Miss Jessica. I love you so much. And send my love to Jason. That's so crazy. Do you remember when we had a proposal on the channel? Remember we had a proposal during the Karen Reed trial? And I remember that Mark Betterow was on with me and Jimmy, Auntie Deb was on with me. And we had a proposal right on our stream. It was crazy. Cupcakes for Justice says, Melanie, you are protected by a wall of cupcakes. Thank you so much. And I love your tuxedo cat. Thanks for your super chat. And Laura Ambrose says, Happy New Year. I love you with all of my heart too. Thanks for being here for 5 months. And Romy, I love you too. Happy New Year to you. And thanks for being here for a whole year. Yes. And they even came back to say that she accepted. I remember it's on my Instagram. Jeannie, Karen Reed for Governor of Massachusetts says, I'm so happy you're covering this case, Melanie. I'm not sure what the evidence is at this point, but Pin It on the Girl is ringing loud again. Yeah. It is, right? Nate Taylor says, if the glove doesn't fit, they must have quit. It worked for OJ. And happiest New Year to you too. Thank you for your 5. Satu has been here for 17 months. You're like an OG. You're an OG. Thank you. And Jay became a new member. Welcome, Jay-Z. Bridget loves Landman. Thanks for the deuce. And Positive Vibe says, if I'm right, they found a bloody glove in Sarah's closet, and that's what they're using against her. Well, we saw there was DNA testing on, it says actually gloves. Hang on. I got to go back because I don't want to give you the wrong information. It says gloves. In this discovery, the state has also provided the results of a DNA test of gloves found in the bedroom of the defendant. I don't know if they're bloody, but they did DNA testing. And so I can't confirm or deny. Katie O'Keefe is here. She was in the interrogation with Sarah and Sarah's dad. And Sarah lived with Katie after the murder of her parents, her mom and stepdad. And Katie is here and says there was no blood on the gloves. So if you have any questions, you can tag Katie O'Keefe 3558 because she's telling us everything. And she also testified in the bond hearing. Katie, was it your daughter who testified? Wait a second. All right, hold the phone. Katie, did your daughter testify? Beautiful young girl with long dark hair. Was that your daughter or someone else's daughter? There is a 911 call that's been turned over. Bev says, I like your posters. They remind me of doodle art. These are Dave Matthews Band tour posters. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. That's Carrie's daughter. Then riddle me this. Riddle me this. Because here's another headline that Court TV ran with. I pulled it up for you. I just got to get the link. Hold, please. We watched the entire bond hearing the other day. However, Court TV clipped a little tiny piece of it. And they put it on Facebook, and I'm going to play that little tiny piece of it now because of the one quote that they chose to highlight. And they have captions up.
Yes, ma'am.
And is Kill your mom?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I heard your mom say that you guys went to school together. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
At East Coweta?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you gone to school together since then, or that was the last time you went to school together?
I'm going to say ninth grade. She started at East Coweta High School.
That is our Queen Latoya Williams, public defender, questioning this young witness.
And then she moved.
And is that when, do you know if that's when she moved with your mom?
I'm going to say yes.
Now,
And this was testimony at the bond hearing from August 2025.
that was ninth grade. But have you guys continued to be friends since then?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you say friends, talk to me about what that looks like. Are you guys talking on the phone? On
Via Snapchat sometimes. We would call. I'd check in on her. I was never allowed over at her house.
I was never allowed over her house. I was never allowed over her house. That's what Court TV entitled this clip. Why did Carrie never allow her daughter over their house? What was going on in that house? I have questions. She is stunning. She is stunning. But I have questions about why she was not allowed over her house. That makes me question a lot about what might have been going on at that house that other parents knew about. One more time. Katie says at her mom's house, Sarah was embarrassed by the way the mom kept the house. Okay, so it was a hot mess. I thought maybe she wasn't allowed, her mother would not allow her over the house because there were rumblings maybe.
Via Snapchat sometimes. We would call. I'd check in on her. I was never allowed over at her house.
They were calling to check in on her friends. I mean, this girl's also 16, 17. Why were they checking in on her, right? No, it was Sarah. It was Sarah that wouldn't let her friends come over because she was embarrassed. Okay, I dig. But it is true, is it not, that Kristin and her husband had a history of drugs dealing? I mean, that's what her dad said. She had a dirty home and Sarah is clean. Yeah, she could be embarrassed. I get it. She probably didn't want her friends coming over. And I thought that was sad. But, that's what Court TV went with. That was their headline for that. It said, I was never allowed over at her house. Accused parent killer Sarah Grace Patrick's friend spoke about their longtime friendship at Patrick's bond hearing. Well, thank you, Katie, for clearing that up. And so we wait. Trial will start on Monday, and we'll be here for it around 8:45. Allie says, I thought the PR lady said on this guy's channel that it was suspicious that the little girl did hear the gunshots, but not Sarah Grace Parker. Sarah Grace Patrick. See, now I'm confusing her with Sarah Jessica Parker. I knew that was going to happen, just like the James Brock thing. Did she say the little girl did hear the gunshots? Heidi says, and I can't recall that exactly. Oh, hang on. And Jamie's arrest history is gone. He has a lengthy record. That's bizarre. She did not hear the shots. They had a heroin production facility. I don't know who you are, DB, FR, but I think you and I could be friends. But I have to delete this because of the AI and YouTube. And apparently, also, her dad said it was maybe just weed. And remember that weed is illegal in Georgia. Katie says it'll be jury selection for the first, they think, 4 days. How long is the entire trial scheduled to go? Because I got a date with Dave Matthews in Cancun at the end of the month. And so the service is not the greatest down there in Mexico. Jury selection could take 4 days. All right. So we'll get cameras opening on Monday anyway. We'll get to watch our favorite judge, Dusty Hightower. And we will also get to see our queens, LaToya. And apparently, if that's her daughter, I'm going to call her Attorney Williams, LaToya Williams, and her daughter, the investigator. 3 to 4 weeks. Oh, man. All right. We're going to make it happen, though. DB is great and very funny. Okay. So they have a new motion in Turtle Boy's case. All right. I'll have to take a look for it. So there's that. Let's get back to the chat. Lieutenant Pez says, was the blonde woman with the thick Southern accent at the presser the PR person everyone's talking about? Yes, she was. She made me doubt this case just by opening her mouth, says Lieutenant Pez. Dispenser Tully. She's the mouthpiece. Thanks, Olivia, but I just can't do it right now. I'm going to have to do it on a separate show. Thank you. Allie says, I'm right. In part 1 of Melanie's coverage at 3:05:38, the PR lady said the little girl heard the shots. Well, we have that ability. So hang on a second. We can go to part 1 and we can take a look. It is weird, though, for me to be next to me on the screen, but I'm going to do it for you. Part 1 at 3:05:38. Wow, that was a long stream. 3:05:38. Okay, hang on. Let's turn that. Let's put that on so we can see what she said. Let's go here. And this is my stream from something like 2 days ago. This is part 1 of trial prep. And this is the PR person for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. Watch, come back and watch. Okay, wait.
And things going on in that area. Very small home that they lived in. When the smallest child, who was forensically interviewed as well through this process, said she heard the gunshots, but the 17-year-old or 16-year-old at the time did not hear the gun.
It's absolutely what she said. That Allie's right. That's absolutely what she said. She said that the little girl did hear the gunshots. And the 17-year-old didn't. And that's what made us suspect her. I don't know what the little girl said in her interview, but that is what the PR person said. So you are right, Allie. Thank you for tuning in from New Zealand and for coming in and sharing your thoughts. MJ says there's also things that go on, people use to make them quiet. Yes, like silencers, very quiet. No, that's perfect. Thank you for avoiding the trigger words. I appreciate you. Trigger words. There's a pun. Thanks, MJ, for your 10. Critical True Crime became a member. Thank you. Thank you so much. On top, thank you for your super sticker. I appreciate you. And there's a big DoorDash scam going on in emails. I didn't know about that. Learn some integrity. Thank you for telling me. You know how much I love DoorDash. The inventor of DoorDash was on Shark Tank the other night. It was a rerun, but it was interesting. Samantha says, haters gonna hate. Thanks for your 5. I know. What are you gonna do? Skylar Skulls became a new member. Welcome. Pierre says, do gun pullers have a tie to law enforcement? Don't know because we don't know. We don't know who pulled the gun. They said it was a family member though, right? Didn't he say it was like a family member? So I don't know. I have no idea, but maybe Katie would know. Thanks for being with me for 25 months, Pierre. I love sarcasm says thank you so very much. Thanks for being with me for 2 months. I appreciate you so much. And Elizabeth Mullen says, Happy New Year. I love you with all of my heart. Thank you for being with me for 15 months. H-Bag loves me too. And I love you even more. 20 months. And Rochelle says, no rule that one must wear black to a funeral. True dat. Thanks for hanging with me for 17 months. You're amazing. Heidi, how do you know that? I got to delete that, Heidi, but because first of all, I can't have that written in the chat, but I don't know if that's actually true or not. And if it's rumor, I can't have it in the chat, but also can't have that statement in the chat. But I saw what you said and I don't know. I don't know about that. Sherilyn, thank you so very much for your Cash App. Says, may your new year be the best ever. And you too, Sherilyn. I love you so much. Melinda, thank you for your Venmo. Says, Happy New Year. I ate my grapes. Oh, this is so true. I forgot to tell you this one. You're supposed to run around your house with an empty suitcase or run around the block. And she said, several years ago, my cousins and I ran around the block with suitcases and passports. My very shy cousin ended up going on many overseas trips, even living in Japan. Oh, you're the greatest. Thank you. She says, I'm usually a lurker. Well, I can see Melinda, boy, I might be intimidated because, but we try and get rid of the mean people. We try and do that as fast as we can. So thank you for watching. Nona to 3, thanks for your 3 matcha lattes. Happy New Year to you too. And congratulations on having 3 grandkids. Betsy, I love you. So happy to see your smiling face. You look wonderful. I love you too, Betsy. Happy New Year. Thank you for your Venmo. Also, yeah, it looks like there's a, Let me just see something real quick here. Thank you. It's 22 pages long. This deserves its own show. I can't just read this to you right now, but apparently Mark Betterill, my friend and yours, has filed a surreply in support of the motion to disqualify Robert Cosgrove in the Aidan Carney case. So that deserves its own show. And I think there are hyperlinks thanks to our friend Olivia. So that will be something that we will cover. Today's what? I don't know what day it is. the week between New Year's, Christmas and New Year's is like you just forget what day it is, right? It's actually not a letter. It's actually a pleading. Mr. Better. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie says, I love being a cupcake. You rock, Melanie. Thank you. Thank you. I thought today was, I have no idea what it, today's Friday. Yeah, it's Freaky Friday. Today's Freaky Friday. Thank you, Carrie. We're going to cover this Monday because at least Monday we're going to get to see the judge and we're going to get to see the public defender and we're going to see probably some instructions to the panel. I mean, Law and Crime says they're going to cover it. So just plan to be here like around 9 a.m. on Monday. If anything changes, obviously I'll take the stream down. I didn't even put it up yet, but Law and Crime is going to be there. There's media orders and they're allowing cameras in the courtroom. So listen, this is a great case to cover. The media has already convicted Sarah Grace Patrick. I won't allow that. I won't allow it because PR lady says they have a mountain of evidence and we haven't heard one little even shred of evidence. I don't remember any case ever that we have covered together where we knew zero evidence before a trial. Zero. Like Squeeta. Is there anything? Craftastical says, let's get Melanie to 1 million subscribers in 2026. Like, subscribe, and share. It may seem impossible. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try. That's awesome. You're amazing. And Jeannie says, that's the true meaning of the holidays when you can't remember what day it is. I mean, point me in the direction of one piece of evidence that they have told us about. Just one. They want us to believe that Sarah Grace Patrick is guilty because as a 17-year-old, she apologized at the end of her eulogy because at the beginning she says, I stutter a lot. Because she wore a blue dress or a light green dress to the funeral instead of black. Because she shared her feelings on TikTok. And because she reached out to TikTok creators to try and find the people who killed her parents. That is what we know. Either they've been very, very tight-lipped. I mean, it's wild that nothing has leaked out. Nothing. There's been not one hearing on evidence. All that we have seen is a bond hearing that looked like and felt like a sentencing because it felt like every single witness was giving a victim impact statement. The most evidence we have is from Sarah Grace Patrick's dad, Doniel Patrick, who did an interview with Chris Stewart of Law and Crime and told us that Kristin Brock and James Brock had been threatened by a person with a gun a couple of days before they were murdered and gave all that information to police and that his son was actually a witness to that gun pulling. And also that they had apparently maybe screwed over some people on a drug deal in the month of February, the same month in which they were murdered. And so that's the most evidence that we've heard. And that was not from law enforcement. That was from Sarah Grace Patrick's dad. Lieutenant Pest Dispenser Tully says, a girl needs some walking around money. This should get you to the corner. Thanks for the 10. You always had to have mad money when I was a kid. Like if you went on a date, that's like before there was no Uber. You had to have mad money in case you got mad and you had to leave and take a cab home. My mother would always give me mad money. Does anybody remember mad money? It was a thing. I want to see the mountain of evidence. Where's the mountain of evidence? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? And so we got a 17-year-old girl who's very beautiful and age appropriate on TikTok, by the way, who's sitting in jail based on some hearsay of people who say she may be dangerous and may flee and may try and intimidate witnesses, being tried as an adult, facing felony murder, malice murder, all kinds of murder charges. And I don't know. If anybody thinks she's guilty in this chat, please tell me why you think that. I'll allow a couple of minutes for you guys to chime in on why you think she's guilty. If it's just because that's what mainstream media is telling you. Get rid of your gloves, people. But we don't know what the gloves showed. We don't know what the testing on the gloves is. We call it FU money, says Felicia. Yep, that's what mad money is. In case you were mad and you had to leave, you needed some money, right? We didn't have Apple Pay. We didn't have Apple Pay. Not guilty. People are saying not guilty. Put a 1 if you think she's guilty. Okay. All right. If you think she's guilty, put a 1 in the chat. You don't have to do anything if you think she's not guilty. But remember, everyone in this country should be afforded the presumption of innocence until if and when proven guilty by the state by a beyond a reasonable doubt standard. Okay, Sam Adams is here. Sam, tell me why you think she's guilty. Do you know something we don't know? Because of the mountain of evidence? I saw 1. I saw 1, 1. I saw 1, number 1. Devil with the blue dress on. Thank you, Kat Randall, for starting a playlist. Sam Adams says 1, unless you did it unless you did it by accident, Sam Adams. I just want to know, like, why you think that. Do you think it's consciousness of guilt for a teenager to ask TikTokers to cover her parents' murder? I mean, that's the way you get stories out nowadays, right? Is to get people on social media to cover your case. That's the way you can get your story out. DB, for real, says, oh, never mind. I forgot about there's a presumption of innocence. I'm sorry. I'll go with number 2. I don't know. I mean, we cover a lot of cases. Remember all of the evidence we heard about in Koberger? You know, the cell phone data, the triangulation stuff, his car being in the area. There was video. There was all kinds of stuff. And I still didn't think it was enough. It may be an unpopular opinion. I still didn't think it was enough. And then he pled guilty. So I'm like, oh, wow, I guess they had a lot more than we knew about. And they may have a lot more than we know about here. Gator Girl says, I respect you 100, but 100% I believe she's guilty. I love that. Tell me why. She says, I know people that knew her parents and she wasn't the best child, gave trouble to her parents, no respect, etc. Her mom and her didn't get along. Right, but does that make her a murderer? Does it make her murderer? I mean, if you know people that knew her parents, can you tell me whether or not it's true that her parents were dealing drugs? Can you tell me whether or not it's true that they had ripped some people off on a major pot deal within the days leading up to the murder? And can you tell me whether it's true that a family member or someone close to the family pulled a gun on the parents in the house and that the son was a witness to it? I mean, a kid giving her troubled parents and talking back and whatever, no respect, it doesn't a murderer make, in my opinion. If every kid who didn't get along with their parents was a murderer, we would all be in trouble. Thank you, Miss Jules from Florida, for you 20. Love you, girl. Happy New Year. Dad had a money belt full of cash for contempt fees. If you know, you know. That's awesome. I mean, it was a pot deal. That's what they're saying. It was a pot. Listen, if you have kids that go to college in Georgia, you know that weed is not legal in Georgia. It's not. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. All right. Please share the stream out so that everyone knows about this. So everyone comes back to start watching this trial on Monday. And then after the trial is started, it will be broadcast on all the usual suspects. So we will be doing it gavel to gavel if we can, as much as we can. So they were doing pots. They were doing weed. I know it's terrible. You're very funny tonight. You're very funny. You're very funny. Her mom's best friend was just in the chat. Sarah and her mom got along very well. They were best friends. See? They were best friends. I mean, this sounds to me like a drug deal gone bad. I don't know. I want to know what kind of, thank you, Heidi. I want to know what kind of evidence they have against this girl. Or if they just wanted to close the case. They're just looking for a conviction. Maybe they wanted the town to feel safe again. Maybe they didn't want the town to think that there's, gun-toting drug dealers running around. Right. 25 years on the job. NYPD says you have no idea how many pot deals for people killed in Brooklyn when I was working. So it's quite possible. Yeah. People don't like to be, money is, people want their money. Too cute by half says, half of a drink at Dave Matthews. I'll pay the rest when I get there. Are you coming? Love you too. If you're coming, send me an email. And it's not for a couple of weeks yet. We still have time. Thank you for your 10. And also Mama She is here. Thank you. I thanked you earlier for your cash up. You're amazing. You're the greatest. All right, you guys. This happened in Carrollton, Georgia. It is Western Georgia, about 10 miles from the Alabama border. We looked at the Zillow listing. We did it all. I'm going to have to go back and timestamp it for you. But the thing is that I have a date with the New York Rangers, who are playing in about 2 minutes against the Florida Panthers, and it's an outdoor game. So let's go Rangers. I was going to wear my jersey for you, but I didn't. So let's go Rangers. I got to go. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. Thank you to the moderators for doing your best tonight, as you always do. It is not easy when so many people hate you. I love you guys. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy, and above all, stay safe. I'll be back over the weekend because I just heard about these new Betero papers, and I'm going to have to get it together for you, which I will. Make sure you are still subscribed. People are being unsubscribed without their consent. There's non-consensual unsubscribing going on. Non-consensual. Make sure that you are still subscribed. Make sure all your notifications are set. Make sure that you share the stream out, and make sure that you listen. If there's any evidence that you know of against Sarah Grace Patrick, aside from some ridiculous TikTok videos, please, by all means, share it with the class. I'll see you guys real soon. Peace.